Hey everyone, it's Critical Art 64, Caesar here with a sequel to my New Warriors Snowflake and Safe Space Spiffy redesign by popular demand. When I initially made the video, I only got about 300 views or so, which I chalked up to being late to the party. I gotta get my grift game up. So apparently the Marvel New Warriors Volume 6 series was cancelled. It's now defunct. I don't know if they're even putting out the first few chapters. So making this is kind of not just beating a dead horse, but beating the ever-loving shit out of a dead horse. But hey, I'm here for it. For some reason, I've gotten about 3,500 views on that video in the past week or so. And people would like to see my take on the rest of the crew. So I took a look at the comments. There's one here saying, see, if you actually thought about powers, anybody can make a story about powers better than Marvel. Which made me think about the powers they had to begin with. I mean, what was Kibble Smith thinking? You know, you got Trailblazer. She's an out-of-shape teenage girl with a magical backpack that can retrieve random objects. I mean, so basically just out-of-shape teenage girl then. I'm a 6'5" tall Mexican dude. I think I would be more capable than that with the backpack. Then you got Safe Space. He can only make defense shields to help others. And he's nominally strong. So I probably could sneak up on that guy, choke him out. Snowflake makes ice shurikens, which is a more useless version of an already more or less useless weapon. I mean, they never really used shuriken to kill people. They just would use them to distract you while they would pull out their sword. So not really an effective weapon. Screen time just has Elon Musk's Neuralink. So it's basically like if you had a cell phone when other people didn't have cell phones yet. Or they had flip phones and you had a smartphone. I think the only one that I might not be able to beat up in a fist fight is B Negative, who is Michael Morbius Light. So kind of like a Twilight vampire then, since Michael Morbius can run around during the daytime. So their best bet, let's say if they went up against a villain like, say, I don't know, like the Hobnobble Knobgobbler. Their best bet is for Safe Space to make a bubble and then everybody get inside that bubble except B Negative, who would then turn into like a bat, and then Snowflake will just like keep chucking ice shurikens to distract the Knobgobbler, and then Screen Time would record him on his mind phone, his phone goggles, and then call the police, and then I guess Trailblazer would be like just fishing around in her backpack, just praying to God that she can like pull out a gun, and then while she's doing that, B Negative would just be flying around, maybe going for the eyes, I would think. Fuck. Fuck me. All right. Let's see what I can do. Initially, I just did Snowflake and Safe Space because they were the most egregious, horrible designs. So first up is Trailblazer. Now she looks kind of like if Dora the Explorer was raised by the lunatics and then Jumanji'd into Candyland, where she subsisted off of circus peanuts. First, that name is ridiculous. Now, I did notice this. Dora the Ford Explorer. Chevy Trailblazer. Trailblazer Chevy. So, I don't think that was on purpose because Kibble Smith doesn't know about cars. So I guess I could go with RAV4, Navigator, or Escalade, since keep the motif of sports utility vehicles. But I'll go with something a little bit more relevant to her powers, which is apparently a magic backpack that you can pull anything out of. So I'll call her Pandora. They kind of place her up front in the promotional images, like if she's the leader. I don't really buy that, so I drew her with more of a leader's countenance. Her power is not really a power, just more of a gadget. She's the only one without powers in the group, so she would have to be, at the very least, mentally gifted. Maybe, she's obviously not physically gifted. So, you'll have to forgive me. I suffer from fat phobia, which is the illogical fear of fat people. Like I have nightmares about fat people and becoming fat, and I have panic attacks at Popeye's Chicken. I think drawing fat people is a real great way to, a great safe way to expose myself to fat. One thing for fat people is layering, and dark colors really work wonders. So as you can see here, I kind of wanted her to look like, maybe sort of like a young Queen Latifah. Kibble Smith said she got her magic backpack from God, but not the one you're thinking of. So not God then. What? So instead, I'll give it to that her grandfather was trying to solve world hunger, and she has like an antimatter backpack, and the anti-gravitons cause the empty spaces in the atoms to open up to the outside of the universe, where matter spontaneously generates. And when the user interacts with the void, it influences the chaos, sort of like the Nietzsche quote, "If you gaze long enough into the abyss will gaze back into you." But the solution to hunger was not successful because the backpack violates the scientific law of conservation of mass, which states that matter cannot be created nor destroyed. So whatever object she pulls out temporarily displaces matter so that it'll dissipate in time. So in short, she can pull shit out of the backpack and it'll disappear after a while. Next up is screen time. He kind of looks like if Starfire was trying to determine the paternity of her child's screen time on the Maury Povich show, and the prospective fathers are Cyclops, Ben 10, and Dick Grayson. And then it turned out that somehow all three were the father. The name is Super Whack. The name is Super Whack. I've never heard of that term before. Since I didn't have bitch-ass milquetoast white parents, saying like, "It isn't screen time now, Braden." Ugh, son of a bitch. I'll name him Hackin' Crackalack, now I'll give him a cool name like Haxor. Kibble Smith said he got his powers from internet gas. Being that I worked in IT, that kind of sounds like that dad joke about blinker fluid to like mechanics. I guess his power is he's always connected to the internet. I would elaborate more on this. I would say his nervous system works as an antenna, and he can interface with electronic devices. Maybe he can use his synapses and neurons as like CPUs that can like break encryption, like quantum computing, and I would make him like a complete asshole. And then people just put up with him because he can like hack into their social media or bank accounts. I would make him like a 4chan troll. His mind would totally be destroyed by being online all the time. He has like a Pepe button. I don't get why he wears tights in the original costume. His power is basically that he's like beta testing Neuralink. So instead, I made him like a super string bean with like bad posture and nerd neck. I'd make him like an obnoxious, incel-y, libertarian kind of a guy that like never shuts up about Bitcoin. He only uses Bitcoin, so he only eats at like an internet cafe and like lives in a tech hippies condo. You know, it's really weird to think that his power would be totally negligible 20 years ago. Last but not least, we got B negative. He kind of looks like an albino Beast Boy cosplaying as Iori Yagami from King of Fighters. B negative is not too bad of a name, I guess. It kind of reminds me of a Venture Bros villain, since it's like a pun, or the band Typo Negative. But for consistency, I will change his name as well. To keep with the pun thing, I'm going to give this guy like a Cockney punk accent. I'm going to make this guy like a Cockney punk, so his name would be like Bloody L, but he would say it like Bloody L.
Bloody hell!
Bloody L. You know, he's going to speak in a bad Cockney accent, like Dick Van Dyke from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, or Don Cheadle from Ocean's 11. Kibblesmith said he got his powers from a blood transfusion from Michael Morbius. So I guess he can become like a bat, and he has vampire powers. Kibblesmith said he had leech fingertips. That's kind of cool, I guess. I think if I were to write his story, I would have him be from England, and then he suffers from like hemophilia, and he was like a vegan. Then he comes to America for like an experimental treatment, but it caused him to become a vampire instead. So since he's a vegan, he's like forced to consume blood to survive. So he has to justify it by hating humans. So by default, he becomes like a punk. He's an anarcho-syndicalist. The leather he wears is patent leather, since he's a vegan. You know, Danger Zone should always like rib him about it. I made him greenish to be more ghoulish, and made him more gingery, but now he kind of looks like Roger Klotz. So yeah, I think he's probably the strongest one out of the whole group. You know, I censored his fingers here, because whenever you censor things, it always makes things spicier. So I would just censor him all the time. He would just always be calling people cunt, like, oi cunt, oi cunt, I'm bloody L, the vampire. He's a vampire. Oi cunt. He'll be like, oi cunt, I'm a fucking vampire, mate. I listen to punk music and drum and bass for life. So that about sums them up. If you want to see anything, me make a video bashing on something or making something new or whatever, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to see that I'm getting an audience. You know, if I can consistently get over a couple thousand views on each one of my videos, then I'll be able to finance my own comics that I'm writing currently and drawing. So all my social media is in the description below if you have any questions. Hope to see you again.